So what we're going to do here, I want to take you kind of around the car a little bit and show you what we're working with here. So we'll start by opening up the inside. So
Got the old finger hut seat covers, missing carpet and everything.
Yeah, so we have to go through. We're gonna get busy and put a sound deadening material down on this floor. We're obviously gonna have to do a little bit of rust treatment. It's really in pretty good shape overall. We will put some insulation on top of the sound deadener. We show you in the trunk. You'll see the carpet and sound deadener are back there. And we'll put that stuff back down. We actually have to go and scrounge up some scuff plates because I don't believe I have them. Let me grab the keys here while we're here. Actually, the scuff plates are in the back floor. We've got some of the interior inside the trunk or in the back seat as well.
Rattle can from who knows when.
So inside the trunk, we still have the original spare tire. The old pie crust bias ply spare tire is still in the trunk. We have the remnants of the kick panel that was up front. The new ones are sitting in the back seat. We have the beginnings of new C-pillar panels and all the material to make it. The sound deadener and carpeting and stuff is laying down underneath that. Underneath the back, you can't see. Part of the reason this car got parked is the fuel tank in this rusted out really bad. And so at a later point in time, we will show you the fuel tank that we started making. We actually got this car in the shop here about a year ago and got it in the air and did an evaluation to see what kind of shape the gas tank was in. I knew it wasn't in good shape. I didn't know it was as bad as it turned out to be. But we actually got started on a new tank. We'll have to finish it up. We'll show you finishing it up and installing that. At some point we're here soon, we'll be doing brakes. Next thing we'll do is we'll show you up underneath the hood. Show you what we've got to work with up here. So we have a Rambler 327. This is not to be confused with a Chevy. They share a displacement, but nothing really else outside of the hydraulic lifters. This one pretty much original yet. This one has 107,000 miles on it. Has an Edelbrock carburetor, which was not original to the vehicle. They ran a Holley originally. And we're going to have to go through this completely. We'll be doing thermostat housing, water pump. We'll pull the oil pan off of it and clean it out. We've got to do valve cover gaskets. We've got to go through and do an entire new ignition system. The goal here, we're actually going to pull this motor out. We're going to knock the freeze plugs out of it and flush and rinse the block completely out and get any rust scale out of it, put new freeze plugs in it. We'll degrease everything, clean this engine compartment up, try to clean and polish up this white paint as best we can. I'm going to drop the transmission and degrease it and the cross members and stuff underneath. And try to make this thing a little bit tidier, a little less cumbersome to work on. We've got it on a nurse bottle. That's how we got it in the shop here. It does run. It actually runs quite well, in spite of the fact that those plug wires still say Packard in them, which means they are original plug wires. And surprisingly, they do not cause misfires at this point. But they're not much for a 4,500 mile trip. That's just asking for one of them to go bad and have a dead hole somewhere and having to put a new wire in along the way. So Okay, now that we got the car up in the air, we'll show you what we got going on underneath the car and talk a little bit about what we need to do down here underneath the car. So starting up front, I'll show you the strut rod bushing in this has gotten really bad. That's why we'll be putting new ones in here. I make my own up. At some point we'll show you how we make those. We're going to change out the sway bar body bushing and end link bushings too. You can see they are starting to get a lot of dry rot and stuff in the rubber. These shocks are quite vintage, so we will be getting those out of here. Going to be degreasing everything as best we can, try to clean some of this stuff up. The pan in this is in really good shape other than one dent right there that will tap out when we get the pan off. We've actually collapsed our transmission mounts to the point where the bell housing is sitting down on top of the cross member. So we're going to be addressing those. When the motor is out, we'll pull the exhaust manifolds off. We'll pull the studs out. We'll surface the ends. We'll be doing a little deleting of the heat riser valve. They really don't do much anymore and can be gotten rid of. We'll surface the end of the pipe so we can get new glands to seal up so they don't exhaust leak. We're going to have to get busy and put a new muffler and exhaust system in this. When it was in here last fall, I got busy and took out what was the remains of the dual exhaust. With the heat riser not opening, it rotted everything on this right side out, so I piped it back over. It was originally a single exhaust car and they just capped the Y, so I just opened up the cap and put the pipe back together. With this, we'll get busy and we'll bend up a new exhaust. I believe I got a brake leak somewhere in here, so I'm going to have to get in and we're going to have to do some evaluating on what we got for brake lines. We got to replace front and rear brake hoses. We'll be putting new rear shocks in. We've got obviously the gas tank mentioned before, so we got to get in here and finish up our gas tank and reinstall it. For the AMC people, you ought to take note that still has the original exhaust pipe from the muffler back. Still has the original porcelain coated exhaust. They took these pipes and dipped them in glazing and then fired them and porcelain coated the inside and outside. This car still has its original porcelain coated exhaust. So, with that said, the next thing we need to do is get this car back down some and get ready to blow it apart. When we get it mechanically sorted out, we'll work on cleaning and polishing the outside up a little bit. Their chrome kind of needs help. Most of the body needs help. You know, in some way, shape, or form. We're not going to try to make things too perfect as far as taking out scratches and stuff like that and small dents. We'll just do the best we can to kind of clean up the fact that it's been stored for pretty close to 30 years now. So without further ado, we're going to let this car down and blow it apart. Get the brakes out of it. We're going to pull the rear axles out and replace rear axle seals, renew the grease on the bearings in the rear axle. Most of the time they're pretty thin on grease, and on a long trip like that you'll lose a bearing. So without any further ado, we're going to lower this down and blow it apart. Time to blow it apart. Find this spout. Get the hubcaps off.
Want me to do my thing?
That one sure stays on good. Alright, hubcaps off. Get some Ear Pro. Let's see if this electric's got enough to get it off. Nope. Dig out some air. It's nice. I got my son Benjamin in here today. He's gonna pull wheels and stack them behind the car while I finish getting the last 2 wheels off here.
Should have had me entering the intro. Full brakes.
It's nice. 62 is the first year AMC used regular studs with nut. Through 61 they used bolts with tapered heads.
Like all the German cars nowadays.
Somebody's decided to space their wheels out with washers on the front. Probably means somebody had tie rods that rubbed at one point. This one over here's had fun with leakage.
Bearing don't look too bad.
Throw the cotter pins away. We'll put new ones in.
I know.
we got the tools and everything set up on this side. First thing we got to do, I take this, get the drum off this side.
Dad, I'll just time lapse through that side.
They don't always come off that easy. They don't normally ever push out. Getting them out of the way sure makes life a whole lot easier when it comes to getting the nut off the back side of this. They are not much fun to get to with everything in the way. Time to change gloves again. And we're going through the gloves, but it sure saves the hands. Makes life a whole lot better. Where did my board go? There it is. Gotta get up under here and hook the spring. AMC was nice. They put little ears on their springs. You just hook them together, top and bottom. Make sure they're in and hooked good. You don't really want flying springs. Yep, most of the tension's off that now. Gotta take the shock undone. Gotta take the sway bar undone. Not too worried about taking either one of them undone. Their shocks are gonna get replaced. The sway bar and links are shot and will also be replaced. This bolt's going to be a lot tougher than the other side. That one is rounded off.
Air hammer it out.
That was air hammering it. Might get it that way. Let me see what I can do. Nope. get on it with a 6-point socket. Let's see if that holds.
Noisy.
Way it goes. That one ain't gonna come off. So we'll have to resort to plan B. It's not uncommon for these bolts to be stuck pretty bad, so the Sawzalls hate cutting through the rubber, but other than a little smoke, it's not too bad. We just try to cut through in a spot where we can save the hardware. We just put a new bolt in it. Cut enough to break yet. Okay. Next, I think I'm going to take the pickle fork.
Man, you like to make a stink, don't you?
Clean that up some. Get that nut up. Cotter pin out. Break the ball joint loose. There we go. And we never did take the strut rod undone from this side like we did on the other. Not quite stuck in as deep as the other one. With that, I'll get to cleaning.
I can say, I think you dropped something. Ah. Oh, it's not that bad.
Yeah.
We've seen worse.
Okay. So, you got all 4 brake backings done?
3 of them.
Okay.
I don't know where the 4th is. I have both rears done.
I took one over and put it in the solvent tank for you. whole lot easier if we get a little higher in the air. Let's see if I can get to the nut. Maybe. Cotter pins out.
Yeah. What's cooking, Mac?
I need that 3/4. Yeah, 3/4 impact socket with a swivel on the end and that 4-inch extension. See if I can get it in. The other side wasn't much fun, so I don't anticipate this one being any better. Oh, shoot, it's bigger than 3/4.
I'm gonna move the camera a little bit.
That size over on this side too. Yep. Big.
Oh damn, this is a good pit.
Alright. I'm on. Let's see if it'll come off. Benjamin? Get a crescent wrench, one of the big ones. Good 12-inch. Good one, not the cheap one. Okay, hang on to that tight. Fans. Okay. Yep. That's gotta get cleaned.
I'm gonna try to remove that sucker.
Not right now.
Alright.
Gets us pretty well degreased. Well, that just about draws us to a conclusion of this episode. We unfortunately know from previewing some of our video that we lost a couple of the early stages of what we did here, so we thought we'd take a moment to kind of show you at least where we're at. So we did get the axles out and the bearings and everything out of here. We got the brake backing plates cleaned up. We're going to take all 4 of them to the sandblaster and get them cleaned. But we're ready to actually put seals and start reassembling the rear axle once we get our parts back. Up on the front of the car, we got things disassembled. We got a lot of the grease and stuff knocked off that you can see down on the floor. Both sides were quite dirty. There was no seal on the lower ball joint, so we actually got this apart and got a seal in here. We got everything kind of degreased and cleaned up there. So that's nice. Both sides are in the same position. That side we're at a point where we can put a new seal in. So that concludes this episode. In the next episode, we will resume right here where we left off today. Thanks for watching. If you like the channel, please subscribe. It helps the channel out a lot. Thank you for watching.